Hello everybody and welcome back to another edition of Jack's Kitchen. Yay! Today we are going to be making a lemon surprise cheesecake to commemorate Shavuot. Now if you're not sure what Shavuot is, it's also known as the Festival of Weeks. It begins this Thursday at sundown until Saturday at sundown. And it actually has a double significance. So the first significance is an agricultural significance in which it is the Israeli wheat harvest. And the second, which is probably a little bit more well known, has to do more with cultural, spiritual, and religiousness. It is a commemoration of the day when God gave the Torah to Moses to bring down to the Israelites, essentially becoming the Jewish people. Kind of a big deal. So, how do we celebrate this? We eat a whole bunch of dairy. Because, you know, that's what Ashkenazi guts need more of. You might be asking yourself, why are we eating all this dairy? And there's a few different reasons. One is that before the Torah, we didn't keep kashrut. So instead of now having to kosher all of these pots and pans, they were like, screw it, dairy's easy, we're just gonna eat that. Way less rules about how to prepare it. Another one is that King Solomon compared the Torah to milk, and so symbolically, it's kind of like we're eating the Torah. The one I find most interesting is that the gematria of halav, which is milk, is 40, and this corresponds to the 40 days and nights Moses spent on Mount Sinai before delivering the Torah to the Israelites who were waiting below. It is traditional to stay up all night learning Torah, although that didn't really become a thing until about the 1500s, and it could have a little bit to do about the amount of Turkish coffee in the Ottoman Empire. However, it's also King David's yahrzeit, which is kind of cool, I think. A little bit of a name drop there. But interestingly enough, the Yemenite Jews do not eat dairy on this holiday, and like most holidays, it is only celebrated one night in Israel and 2 nights in the rest of the diaspora. So, without further ado, I'm gonna go get set up, and we're gonna learn to make lemon surprise cheesecake. Okay, here we go. So, first and foremost, when you're making cheesecake, the important thing to remember is that you are going to be cooking this low and slow, and it needs a significant amount of cooling time in order to set. So please don't do this an hour before you want to serve it. You either want to do it the morning of or even the day before is really good, because then it has time to sit in the fridge and set properly. The most important thing with any pie is the crust. Now, I don't eat gluten, so I've made a gluten-free crust out of nuts, but if you're allergic to nuts or you don't have issues like that, don't worry about it. You can just do your traditional graham cracker crust, you can do a pretzel crust, you can do a cookie crust, whatever you want. How you do that is you take a whole bunch of cookies or crackers or pretzels, whatever it is you're wanting to make the crust out of. In my case, it was pecans and walnuts, and you throw them into a food processor and you pulse it until it becomes like a loose crumb. You don't want it, especially if you're using nuts, to turn into nut butter. So you're just pulsing it until it's kind of grainy. And then after that, you're going to mix in 3 tablespoons of sugar and 3 tablespoons or a 1/4 cup of melted butter. You're gonna mix all of this around, throw in a pinch of salt, and it's gonna give you a really nice, kind of like squishy, greasy texture. And then what you're gonna do, and I'll just show you an example, is you're going to press it down into a cake pan like I've done here. So this is my nut crust, and I blind baked this one for 12 minutes at 325 so that it'll be nice and crispy. These ones are mini cheesecakes, so I've not blind baked these because they're just too little and they're going to burn. And how I know that is because I've done it before and they burned. So But if you're doing a graham cracker crust, you want to blind bake it for 10 to 12 minutes at 325, or you don't have to bake it. I would, so that the crust isn't soggy, but you don't have to. You can just put it in the freezer for 20 minutes for it to set and for that butter to harden a little bit and give it that nice shape. So the next thing that you're going to need is your cream cheese. So I have got 2 packages of cream cheese here, and you want it to be at room temperature. Do not do this straight out of the fridge. It's not going to go very well for you. So I've got my cream cheese here. I've just cut it up in there to make it a little easier to incorporate. You're also going to need 3/4 of a cup of sugar, 3 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice, and a tablespoon of the rind, which, if you're going to be using the lemon rind, this is an entire lemon, is 1 tablespoon. And I do find it's easier to grate the lemon rind first and then cut your lemon and squeeze it. Just makes it so much easier to squeeze. You get more juice out of it because you don't have that real stiff rind keeping in the way. This is what I use. This is my rind grater, whatever you want to call it. Or you can just use a really fine grater for whatever you've got in the house. 2 eggs, also at room temperature, and vanilla. Now this is my favorite vanilla. I got it directly from Mexico the last time I was there, which seems like forever ago, but that's okay. So these are the makings of your base lemon cheesecake. The surprise is that we are going to take some raspberries and throw them in, and you won't even be able to see them. It's going to be very exciting. But for now, let's get to the recipe. So the first thing that you are going to want to do is wash your hands, please. And then what you're going to want to do is, with your hand mixer, or if you're real fancy and have one of those KitchenAid stand mixers that I literally dream about getting one day, you can do that. So I'm gonna pause this for a second while I blend this up until it's nice and smooth and creamy. All right, so we're back. So we have used the hand mixer to blend it up all nice and smooth, and you really don't want to go too crazy with the blending. You want it to be smooth, so there aren't any big chunks in it, but the more you blend, the more air gets incorporated, and that's just not good for when you're cooking it. That's what creates a lot of the cracks that you're gonna see if you do a full cheesecake. So we've got that in. So then we're gonna add in our 3/4 of a cup of sugar. We're gonna blend that together. And then we're gonna add our eggs in one at a time. So add one, blend, add one, blend. Then you're gonna put in your lemon juice and your vanilla. Okay, so just give me a second. I'm gonna blend this sugar. It's really loud. I don't want you to have to hear it. And I'll be back in a second. All right, so we've got our sugar in. So now we're gonna add in our eggs, and we're just gonna do this one at a time, and you really wanna blend it up. It's just a quick second there. And then you're gonna wanna take your spatula and slide it down your bowl, get all the stuff on the sides, bring that down. You wanna make sure that this is really evenly mixed. The last thing you want is to take a bite of your cheesecake and bite into a chunk of cooked egg yolk. Blech. No, thank you, ma'am. All right, so there's that one. So now I'm gonna crack in my other egg. Blend that up really quickly. Again, until it is well incorporated. Scrape down the sides of the bowl. Make sure you don't have any hidden treasures in there. Scrape under the bottom. It's looking pretty good. What's looking even better is my hair that just got into it. So that's kind of gross. Thank God I showered today. Ha! Oh, I just think I'm a riot. All right, so that's nice. That's smooth. That is a liquid batter. Whew, and it almost ended up all over my stove, showing you that. Exciting times here in JAC's kitchen, guys. This is the best part about this self-isolation. I'm getting so much baking done. And anyone will tell you that while I'm an okay cook, I am a much better baker. And soon you will be too. So now I'm gonna add in my lemon juice. The recipe says to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla, but honestly, who measures vanilla? Throw a splash in, you'll be fine. And our lemon rind. Yum, yum. So now, because I don't want to incorporate a ton more air in here than it already is, I'm just going to stir this in. And if you're really feeling fancy, you can stir in a 1/4 cup of sour cream. If you want a little bit more of a moisture element added, if you're scared that it's going to be too dry. But I find that this recipe is pretty good if you want just a nice creamy lemon cheesecake. Because honestly, who doesn't love lemon? All right, so there you have it. Doesn't take very long, 10 minutes to make this batter. Pretty good, I'm not mad about it. So then what I'm gonna do is, for my cupcakes, what I've done with the crust is I've literally, with my fingers, just taken like a chunk, put it in, you press it down with your fingers, just like this, until you come up with a really nice, even crust. You don't want it too thick, especially if you're gonna do these little mini cupcakes. So, the next thing I'm gonna do is I've taken individual fresh raspberries and I've frozen them just on a plate in the freezer for about an hour, and I'm just gonna stick one in each little cheesecake cup. It's gonna be so yummy. I love lemon, I love raspberry. Now, you don't need to do this. If you just want your standard basic lemon cheesecake, that is okay. And the reason that I've frozen them is so that they're just a little easier to work with and they don't soften so much while baking and turn to mush. All right, so I have got my little raspberries there, as you can see. Let's move this over to the other side, so you can see those there. And now what I'm going to do is grab a spoon, and I'm just going to drop a little bit of the batter into each cheesecake cup. So, got my tablespoon here. I'm gonna take this batter and just drizzle it over top. Now, you don't want a lot. You don't even want a full tablespoon in here. You're basically just scooping a little bit and drizzling it in until your raspberry is covered. And if you find that you really just don't handle cheesecake that well because you, like most Ashkenazis, are lactose intolerant, never fear. At Superstore, you can get dairy-free cream cheese. It just, it's lactose free. Sorry, it's not dairy free, it's lactose free. And it's a wonderful substitute. Tastes just like cream cheese because it is cream cheese. They've just added lactase into it to help break down the lactose. So, I'm gonna do this. And I'll be back in a second. All right, we're back. So, as you can see here, we have got all of our cheesecakes covered, or raspberries covered for our cheesecake. So, I've got the oven preheated to 325. I'm gonna leave those for a second, and I'm gonna grab my full pie crust. Now, I made all of this with one batch, so you don't have to worry about doing two separate things, or you can just put it all in a 9-inch pie plate. Whatever you feel like. You can do regular sized cupcakes, you can do mini cupcakes. The possibilities are endless. You can do cheesecake bars in a square or rectangle pan. It's whatever you'd like. So now I'm gonna take my remaining raspberries and I'm just going to kind of dot them through here. I'm a big fan of concentric circles, just like Monica from Friends. So I'm gonna put them in these nice circles. And it really just depends on how anal you are about things being perfect and even. So good. Which apparently I'm a little more anal about it than I thought because I want it to be pretty, even though no one's really gonna see it until they bite into it, but you want it evenly spaced. Yum. Is there anything better than fresh raspberries in the summer? I don't think so. All right, so there we go. We've got that. So we're going to take the rest of our cheesecake batter and we're just going to dump it over top. With my silicone spatula, just going to make sure we've got all the little bits off. Good. And now gently, as to not upset your raspberries, you're just gonna kind of pull it out from the middle off to the side. My raspberries have gone a little funky, but that's okay. You can just push them right back into the middle. It's another good way to make sure that everything is nice and coated. All right. Give her a little shake. All right, all done. So we have got our raspberry lemon full cheesecake and our tiny little mini cheesecakes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the oven at 325. These are going to bake for an hour to an hour and a half for the main one. For the mini ones, you're looking at maybe 25 minutes. if that. But I would set a timer, check them after about 15 minutes, see how they're doing. You might get a little nice browning on top. If you shake it for the main one, you should still have a little bit of jiggle in the middle, but it should be a firm jiggle, not a watery jiggle. Kind of like Jell-O, if that makes sense. And then after you take them out of the oven, you're gonna stick them, first of all, you can let them cool on the counter, you can let them turn off the oven, let it cool with the oven door open, or you can throw it in the fridge, whatever you like. If you get cracks, that's okay. It's pretty standard. The higher the altitude is, the drier everything is. So what you can do also is wrap your pie plate in tin foil, put a couple of inches of water into a bigger dish and put this on top. That is called a water bath. And what that does is it helps to insulate the cheesecake itself and cook more evenly so you don't have a lot of expansion and contraction, which is also why you don't want a lot of air in the batter. So give it a try. Let me know how you do. I'm gonna throw these in the oven and I'll check in later.